Hey y'all, it's Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the mid-year book freakout tag. I love this tag. This is one of my favorite tags. My true dedication to this tag though is I have no AC in my house right now and I live in South Texas. So I am sweltering. So please forgive my appearance. I don't have any makeup on because it's just going to sweat right off. I have my hair in these braids because it's just going to frizz right out. Like there's really nothing that can be done. So it is what it is. But I really wanted to film this video and get it up for y'all because I love this tag so much. We got 15 little prompts here and we're just going to dive right in. So number 1, what is the best book that you have read so far this year? And I feel like I would be doing everybody a disservice if I didn't say Dear Medusa. I fucking love this book. I truly think it is the best book of the year so far. I still can't talk about it without crying. If you want to flip back and find the vlog where I read this, you are more than welcome. But I can't talk about this book without sobbing. Just know that it is a hard-hitting contemporary YA. It's told in prose, which is really fun. The audiobook is very good, very quick read. But it's not for the faint of heart. 16-year-old Chelsea really, really needed this book, but 33-year-old Chelsea got it instead, and I love it. Like, I just love it. I can't talk about it without getting worked up, but this is my best book so far. Number 2 is the best sequel that you've read so far this year. Also, if you can hear the kittens, I apologize. They are fighting. It is past their nap time. I didn't have a lot to pick from because even though I've read 94 books so far this year, a vast majority of them have been rereads. But we're going to go with Magnolia Parks Into the Dark. This is book 5 in the Magnolia Parks series. I love this series. I'm trash for this series. I never in a million years would have thought that this would be a series that I like. It is essentially aged up Gossip Girl set in the UK. Like, it is very messy. It is very dramatic. They talk about their clothes a lot, but it really fucking worked for me, but I totally understand why it doesn't work for a lot of people. And honestly, I've embraced the feet. I've embraced them. I am not gonna throw the money at the books to get the ones that don't have the feet. So I'm embracing the feet. They really are god-awful. I also read this one in a vlog. It was very hard-hitting and emotional, and I love these characters so much, and I'm really glad that I decided to give this series a try. Number 3 is a new release that you want to read but haven't gotten to yet. I am choosing The Woods All Black. I do have this on my Kindle. I've had this out from the library for a couple of weeks now, and I still haven't picked it up. I don't know anything about it. I'm going in 100% blind. So please tell me down in the comments what it's about, if you've read it, if you liked it. But I'm just so incredibly excited for it for some reason. I read Summer Sons, and I didn't care for it that much, but they do reference My Chemical Romance in the Bullets era, which just got a lot of points from me personally. And I really loved Feed Them Silence. I really loved it. So I'm very eager to see what else this author can do. And I'm really hoping that this one can be a win, even though I literally know nothing. I've got nothing but the title and the cover. That's all I've got. I've got nothing else. Number 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Obviously, that is Air by the Queen Sabaa Tahir. I've already done my reread of An Ember in the Ashes. I am ready to go. I need this book so bad. I stalk NetGalley like daily to see if it's available, and I hope that my rating is good enough to get approved for such an anticipated title, because I know I'm not the only one who wants to get their hands on it, but I want it. I want it so bad. October is going to be a good month for releases for me anyway. I would also like to shout out the next Tegan and Sara graphic novel. I love Tegan and Sara. I love graphic novels. These were really cute and fun. I'm glad that they're making a series out of it. I'm very excited. So those are the main ones that I'm excited for. Number 5 is biggest disappointment. I struggle with this question every time because, as you know, I am Chelsea 2 stars. I hate a lot of books. I go into a lot of things blind though, so it's kind of hard to be disappointed when you go into things blind, but I do have several answers for this question. So just bear with me, rant it out with me, if you will. That time I got drunk and saved a demon. This was making its rounds. It may still be making its rounds on the bookternet, and people were losing their fucking goddamn minds over it. It's a romantasy. It's very TikTok-y. It's very fanficky. I could tell just by the cover that it probably wasn't going to be something that I was into, but I decided to give it a try anyway. I even went so far as I got the entire series out from the library just in case I became obsessed, because as we know, I became obsessed with Magnolia Parks and didn't think I was going to like that either. So I got all of the books. I was fully prepared to binge the whole thing. That's not what happened. What makes this such a disappointment for me, even though I knew the odds were that it wasn't going to be for me, was that the beginning was so fucking good. Like, you know me, I love humor in my books, and this book was fucking funny in the beginning. I instantly fell in love with our characters. I loved the world we were dropped into. I was very interested. I was very intrigued. I was incredibly on board. But as soon as the romance started to take shape, I was fucking out. I can get behind an insta-love if it's written well, but I think this is the worst one I've read in quite a long time. And the sex scenes, they were some of the worst sex scenes I've ever read in my life. It was so poorly written. Bad sex scenes. Poor writing. None of it was well. If the word bud is used to describe anything in a sex scene ever again, I will riot in the fucking streets. I am not kidding. I know that this is for the smuttier girls out there, so it's basically all smut, no plot, but I swear to you, the second half of the book is just sex scene after sex scene after sex scene, and then it just ends. They're like banging on a rock or something, and then poof, it's done. And I was not on board, but it was a disappointment for me because the beginning, it started off so strong. It had so much potential. I thought it was going to be so much fun. And now I'm triggered to think about it. I also feel like I need to talk about The Paleontologist. If you were here a few months back for my vlogs, you would have seen me try and read this book. Well, not try, I did read this book. This is another 2-star read. But I picked this up. This was a 5-star prediction from me because I read A History of Fear by this author. It's actually right there. That book right there on my favorite shelf. And I fucking was obsessed with A History of Fear. I loved it so fucking much. And I was like, oh my God, auto-buy author. I'm going to get everything this fucking author writes. And then I picked up The Paleontologist. And I was like, what the fuck is this? What is this? No, just all of it is bad. I don't have a single good thing to say about it. All of it was bad. Say hello to Orange. Ooh, Orange. I don't think y'all have seen Peanut yet. Ooh, it's a Peanut. Oh, it's my baby. Paleontologist, just skip it. Just skip it, throw it in a fire. If you see it out in the wild, please, for the love of God, don't read it. Number 6 is Biggest Surprise. These kittens, biggest surprise. If you would have told me that I was going to be taking on 2 more mouths in this house, it would have said you're fucking crazy. But here I am. I have to shout out The Last Animal. I unfortunately don't own a physical copy of this yet, and it breaks my heart every day. I'm not really buying books this year. My new thing is when I want to be in a bookstore, when I want to go book shopping, I browse around, and if I see something that piques my interest, I will check Kindle Unlimited, and I will check the Libby app to see if any of my libraries have it. And that is exactly what I did with this book. I kept seeing it on like their buy one, get one tables that they have at the front of the store. And I don't know, something about it just drew me in, and I vaguely read the back. 2 daughters and their mom go on some sort of scientific expedition, and they find like a perfectly preserved baby mammoth, and the story just kind of goes from there. And I was like, you know what? It's available through the library, so we're just gonna pick it up. And I gave that shit 5 stars. Like, that's definitely in my top 5 of the year so far. I loved it so much. I fell in love with the characters. I was really on board with the sciencey bits. I like biology and stuff like that quite a bit, actually. So those points really hit home for me. And just Pearl. I finished this book on my lunch break at work, and I was literally like sobbing into my little noodles. Like I'm just like trying to eat my little noodles and just sobbing over this mammoth, and just, it was really good. But I definitely think it's one of those books where if other people take my recommendation and pick it up, they're gonna be like, Chelsea, what the fuck are you reading? And I never would have guessed in a million years that that would have been a 5-star read. I really wish I would have bought it. Who would have thought Sasquatch books would be the books for me? This was very much reminiscent of like found footage horror movies meets like the Hot Zone Ebola book. Just, again, the science-y stuff really works for me. The audiobook was phenomenal. Like, it plays out like a movie, and I was fully invested. I feel like I blinked and it was over. I had such a good time with this. This is one where I liked it so much that after I finished the audiobook, when I got off of work, I went out and I bought the last copy in town because I needed a physical copy of it. Thank you so much, Destiny. Another win from Destiny. I need to do a video where I only read books recommended by Destiny. She's constantly given me the hits. Really loved this. Last one for this is my husband. I picked this up because of Biebs. This is translated from French. I'm always down to pick up books that are translated, especially French. I have a fascination with French. Don't ask me why. And I was obsessed with this. Like, it is unhinged. It's delirious. The fucking epilogue lives in my head rent-free. Super short, respects your time. I had a good time with this. And I just never would have thought that this would be something that works for me, and it did. This is why you should continue to pick up things that may not necessarily like pull your interest right away, because you never fucking know when you're gonna find a banger. This one was a banger. Also, Uncle Craig, if you're watching, did you find a French version of this while you were in France? Or did you at least see one and take a picture of it for me? Please. Love you. Number 7 is new favorite author, and that's either a debut or a new to you. I think this author is both new to me, but I think they're also a debut. Don't quote me on that. But that is Tim McGregor. He wrote Ian Hollow that I read towards the beginning of the year. It was the Frankenstein retelling, and it was so fucking well done. Like, the writing, mwah, mwah. Loved it. Such good writing and such a good retelling where it stood on its own as a story where, like, you don't necessarily need to be familiar with Frankenstein or like Frankenstein to appreciate the story on its own, but it also didn't disrespect the source material, because if you shit on Frankenstein, we are going to have words, okay? Tiffany and I are gonna fuck you up if you have bad things to say about Frankenstein. So this one was a real win. And I'm very intrigued to pick up other books by this author. Number 8 is newest fictional crush. This is one of the prompts on here that I hate because I don't have bookish crushes, so I always kind of have to tweak it a little bit. So I kind of went just with my favorite like couple, because I don't have book crushes. Like, I have Biebs. Like, nothing is going to compare to Biebs. Like, nothing I read in a book is going to compare to Biebs. And for that, I'm going with Sloane and Rowan from Butcher and Blackbird. I loved this book. I hated the sequel, but I really, really liked this one. And I was just on board and was shipping them from the very beginning, which typically isn't something I do. So I just kind of wanted to give them a little shout out. I really liked them. They're so much fun. Number 9 is new favorite character. For this one, I have 2, but they're from the same book, so it's fine. And that is Colette and Leo from The God of Endings. I read this a few months back and really enjoyed it. Another one that I didn't think that I was really going to be into. I instantly fell in love with these characters. And they're one of the few characters in fiction where after I finish the book, I continuously think about them. Like, I will find my mind wandering off while I'm at work or something, or, you know, sitting in here staring at a wall, and I'm wondering what they're doing right now. Like, I want to know. Like, I don't necessarily want, like, a sequel. I don't actually want to know what they're doing, because I feel like that will kind of ruin the experience of the book. But I do... Hello, dude, he's fallen asleep. I do think about them often and wonder what they're doing, what they're getting up to. And that doesn't happen often, so I had to choose them. Number 10 is a book that made you cry. I've narrowed it down to 2. Both very different vibes. Not gonna lie, a lot of books have made me cry this year. I have been a big crybaby. First off is Tender is the Flesh. This is a book that I've been saying for years and years that you couldn't fucking pay me to pick up. I was not wanting to get triggered. I don't want anything to do with it. No, I won't. But Beebs finally got me to pick it up. She finally convinced me. And yes, I was triggered immediately. I think I started sobbing at work, mind you, because I listened to this on audiobook. I was sobbing by like chapter 3, but not for the reasons that I thought. In this book, something's happened to all the animals. We can't eat them anymore. So the world thought it would be a good idea, instead of just adapting like a vegan lifestyle, to just start eating humans instead. I really thought that reading about this so in depth was going to trigger me when it comes to the meat industry of our world. And I can't go down that road. I can't do it. I won't do it. And while those things are like very explicitly explained in here, it didn't trigger me in that aspect. It's just sometimes when I'm reading books, I become extremely empathetic for humans, which is just not something I typically do in my real life. I just experienced so much empathy for the human race while reading this book, and it just really fucking broke me. Like, okay, I have to put it down. I can't talk about it anymore because I will cry. But just know, I cried. I cried quite a bit reading that one. But that being said, I think that it should be required reading. I think everyone should read that book. And everyone needs to be talking about what it is and is not saying in the text. The other one that I wanted to mention, because I was sobbing from, I think, the first paragraph, and I cried through the first like 9 or 10 chapters, I think, is As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. This is another book that I feel like is required reading, especially in everything that's going on politically in the world right now. It has been going on, but has really come to a head lately. If you know, you know. We're following this young girl who is just trying to get through her teenage life amidst a very violent war. And I was just sobbing. For a YA, this really fucking packed a punch. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, just another one that I can't think about it too hard, or I will cry. And it's too hot to be crying right now, but just know I cried a lot reading this one. Number 11 is a book that made you happy. Not only did this make me happy, I also cried at the end. And that is the Tea Dragon Tapestry. This is the 3rd and final book of the Tea Dragon Society series. I am obsessed with the Tea Dragons. I know a lot of people aren't really on board with like the simplicity of the story, but I am here for it. If there's going to be more Tea Dragon books, I want them. But this one just, they're just so wholesome and warm, but they also just like break my heart, but in like a good way, and just, it was so good. I remember when I finished this and I was crying, Beebs was like relentlessly making fun of me for it, but they're just so wholesome and cutesy, and I recommend them to absolutely everyone. I don't care that this is a middle grade. I will cherish it forever. I'll probably be buried with these. God, I got it all sweaty. Number 12 is favorite book to movie adaptation. This is another one that I just hate in this tag. I think I might omit it next year because honestly, I don't care. But I guess if I was forced to pick, I would say Bridgerton, because season 3 just came out. I made it through 2 of the books and will not continue because I think they're god-awful. I think the show is way better. That being said, season 3 was my least favorite. We can discuss down in the comments if you would like. I'll also throw in Umbrella Academy because the last season is coming out in a couple of months, and I am patiently, not so patiently, awaiting its arrival. And that's another one where I read the comics and they were fine, but I feel like the TV show is really where it's at. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed, and I cannot wait for the next season. I am so sad it's the last. Again, maybe next year I will omit this question or change it. If you have any suggestions of to what I could change this question to, let me know, please. Number 13 is my favorite review that I've written, or my favorite video that I've made so far this year. For review, I obviously had to go with Jane Eyre. I will I will put the review up here. It's quite lengthy, but even though I despised my time reading that book, I had a lot of fun writing this review, and I'm proud of it. I feel like it perfectly encompasses everything that's wrong with that book. I hated it, but I love the review I wrote for it. And in terms of videos, I guess if I had to pick one, I'd say my favorite video would be listening to y'all's favorite audiobooks, because I found 2 new favorite 5-star reads, which were included in this list earlier on. I'm so thankful that I did that video because it brought me to those books, but also I'm just proud of myself for vlogging in general. Number 14 is My Most Beautiful book. This one was a little bit tricky. I really only had one option because, again, I'm not really buying books this year, but it's the perfect opportunity to show off The Beekeeper's Bible. My phone does not do it justice, but it is absolutely stunning. This is like a tabletop book, very in-depth, everything about bees and honey and caretaking and all of the things. Being a member of Cabin H, when I saw this, I could not leave the store without it, but it is so beautiful. So beautiful. I love it so much. I have yet to try and read any of it, but when that mood strikes, I'm going to have a very good time with this, I'm sure. Number 15, the last question, the last prompt for this video, for this tag, is what books do you still need to read by the end of the year? I have a few of them here. I have quite a few of them here, but I've got 3 to show you right now. First, I want to finish The Stand. I was supposed to read this in May. I'm on page 432. I'm really, really liking it. It's very long and it takes its toll on me mentally. I'm not going to lie. I am still thinking about that 5-year-old boy who fell in the hole and broke both of his legs and died 20 hours later. So I have to be in the right mindset to pick this up, but I do really want to finish it. I also need to get to the unabridged journals of Sylvia Plath. I am buddy reading this with my friend Jessica. We started our buddy read in February, I believe, and I am still on page 8. We don't anticipate finishing. Sylvia Plath requires a very specific mood, and we know that, so we're really just kind of buddy reading off of vibes. She is much further than I am, but I know that she's also technically behind. If we end up buddy reading this for 5 years, we're totally down to do that, but I would like to at least get past page 8. I feel like I owe her that. And last but not least, I need to continue with Throne of Glass. I have read 3 of them so far, and I have yet to pick this one up, and I think I have 4 more. Yeah, I have 4 more after this one. I am torturing myself with Moss 101 at this point because I am stubborn and I want all of the little Easter eggs and tidbits. I want all of the information, even though I could very easily find it on the internet. So I've basically told myself that if I don't finish this series by the end of the year, I'm unhauling it. It's gonna go. This is my 3rd attempt, I think, to try and read Throne of Glass, and if I get stuck here again, that's it. I'm done. I feel like even if I complete it, I may still unhaul it, because I don't think it's going to get any better. I think I'm just going to continue to have a shit time. But here we are. And that was it. Oh my god, I've been talking for half an hour. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave me the book stack emoji if you made it to the end, just so I know that you were here, that you're a real one. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm ready to turn these fans back on, man. I'm fucking hot. I'm hot. I'm getting in the shower. See you soon in a new one. Bye.